Cyberattacks explained. How they make money, wage war, and shape the future. Cyberattacks are no longer a niche problem. They are a parallel economy for criminals, a quiet force multiplier for states, and a persistent tax on trust, on banking, healthcare, shipping, elections, and the basic assumption that what you see on a screen is real. The hard part is not understanding that hackers break in. It is understanding why cyberattacks keep working, even as defenses improve. The answer sits in the incentives. Money moves faster than justice. Identity is easier to fake than most systems admit. And digital disruption is often cheaper than physical force. Unbeknownst to most, payment rails and identity systems increasingly decide the battle, not just malware. The narrative hinges on the world's ability to render cybercrime unprofitable before attackers can automate it. Key points. Cybercrime is best understood as a business, acquisition, phishing, access, stolen credentials, control, remote tools, and cash out, fraud, extortion, laundering. Criminals mainly monetize cyberattacks through fraud, ransomware extortion, and business email compromise. Impersonation that redirects payments. States use cyber as a weapon for sabotage, coercion, intelligence collection, and pre-positioning in critical infrastructure for crisis leverage. How big is cybercrime? Is a measurement trap. Surveys, police reports, and industry loss figures use different definitions and miss huge volumes of underreporting. Major incidents show the spectrum: sabotage, Stuxnet, spillover disruption, NotPetya, mass ransomware, WannaCry, and strategic supply to chain compromise, SolarWinds-style operations. The future is shaped by automation, AI-assisted scams, deepfake social engineering, and faster exploitation of software supply chains. The most effective countermove is shifting incentives, harder identity fraud, faster patching, mandatory reporting, and disrupting cash-out channels. Bound. A cyberattack is any deliberate attempt to compromise a digital system's confidentiality, steal, integrity, alter, or availability. Disrupt. That can mean stealing a database, encrypting a hospital's files, rerouting a corporate payment, or quietly sitting inside a government network for months. Most attacks follow a familiar chain. First comes access. Someone clicks, a password is reused, a supplier is compromised, or an internet-exposed system is exploited. Then comes privilege. Attackers expand control inside the network. Finally comes impact, theft, extortion, disruption, or strategic positioning. Cyberattacks began as experiments, pranks, and status games, long before they became an economy. Early network incidents, like the 1988 Morris worm, showed how fast codes could spread. Over time, hacking professionalized malware toolkits, black markets for stolen credentials, and as-a-service crime models turned one skilled developer into thousands of capable criminals for hire. The result today is a blurred battlefield. The same techniques power credit card fraud, corporate espionage, and geopolitical sabotage. The motives differ, but the mechanics rhyme. Analysis: how criminals turn cyber into cash. 3 lanes generate the majority of cybercrime revenue: direct money theft, victim extortion, and asset resale. Direct theft is often fraud, not Hollywood hacking. Attackers impersonate a bank, a delivery firm, a colleague, or a supplier. They harvest logins through phishing, then drain accounts, open new credit, or redirect payments. Business email compromise is particularly brutal because it exploits routine: an invoice, a new bank details message, a last-minute change request. It works because finance teams are trained to move quickly and avoid disrupting operations. Extortion evolved beyond classic ransomware. Modern groups frequently steal data first, encrypt systems, then threaten public leaks, regulatory exposure, or harassment of customers and employees. This procedure is not just pay to decrypt. It is pay to prevent damage across legal, reputational, and operational fronts. Resale markets complete the cycle. Cybercriminals trade stolen credentials, remote access, customer data, and even initial access into a company as commodities. When crime is modular, attackers specialize. One group phishes, another sells access, another deploys ransomware, and another launders proceeds. This division of labor makes cybercrime resilient. Taking down one gang usually does not collapse the supply chain. How governments and groups use cyber as a weapon. States use cyber operations because they can be deniable, scalable, and tailored. The aim is often not spectacular destruction, but strategic advantage. There is sabotage, malware designed to damage physical systems or industrial processes. Stuxnet is the most famous example, showing that code could cause real-world equipment failure, not just data loss. There is coercion and disruption. Attacks that impose economic pain, shake confidence, or signal capability. Distributed denial-of-service campaigns have the ability to halt public services and banking access without any physical attack. There is espionage, silent access to government, defense, and corporate networks to steal plans, bargaining positions, research, and identities. Prepositioning involves discreetly integrating into crucial infrastructure, enabling immediate disruption during a crisis. This is the most strategically unsettling use of cyber, as it retains value in reserve. It is leverage. Non-state groups can play similar games. Some act as proxies, some as ideological actors, and some as entrepreneurs who occasionally align with state goals. The line between criminal and state-linked often shows up in what is spared, what is targeted, and what happens when law enforcement pressure rises. How big is cybercrime, really? People ask for a single percentage. What share of crime is cyber? The honest answer is that it depends on definitions and data sources. Victimization surveys capture a wide base of fraud and computer misuse, but they do not measure all crime types and can miss complex cases. Police-recorded crime reflects reporting behavior and recording practices, not total prevalence. Industry loss estimates only include detections, disclosures, and consistent categorizations. A useful anchor is that in some advanced economies, fraud is the dominant category of crime experienced by individuals in national surveys. In England and Wales, fraud and related digital-enabled offenses are consistently a significant share of incidents captured by the national survey, roughly around 2/5 in recent assessments. But that figure is often misunderstood because the survey is not a full census of all crimes. The core takeaway is not the precise percentage. The key point is the trend. Cyber-enabled offenses have become routine and industrialized, while the measurement of these crimes has not kept pace with reality. Here are some prominent examples and their implications. Stuxnet, discovered in 2010, demonstrated that cyber attacks could precisely sabotage physical infrastructure, altering how states perceive escalation and deniability. NotPetya, 2017, proved regional attacks can spill globally, causing massive collateral damage and blurring the line between warfare and criminality. WannaCry 2017 proved mass ransomware could disrupt essential services at scale, exposing how legacy systems and delayed patching turn into national resilience issues. The Estonia DDoS campaign, 2007, proved coordinated disruption against a digitally dependent society could become a geopolitical event, not just an IT outage. Ukraine power grid attacks, 2015 onward, proved operational technology can be targeted to cause real blackouts, and that preparation and access can precede impact by months. Supply chain compromise operations, SolarWinds era template, proved that trust relationships between vendors and customers can be weaponized to reach thousands of targets quietly. The pattern across these events is uncomfortable. Defenders improve, but attackers shift to the softest layer: identity, trust relationships, suppliers, and human routine. What most coverage misses. The hinge is simple. Cyber attack scale when cash out is easy and attribution is slow. The mechanism is incentive-driven. Attackers can reliably convert access into money through reimbursement gaps, weak identity checks, crypto laundering routes, or insurance dynamics, making defenses a cost of doing business rather than a barrier. Meanwhile, organizations often optimize for uptime and convenience, which quietly expands the attack surface. The result is a steady equilibrium. Attacks keep coming because enough of them still pay. Two signposts would confirm the hinge tightening over the next weeks and months. First, a sustained rise in payment and incident reporting mandates that actually change behavior, not just paperwork. Second, visible friction in laundering and cash-out channels, more seizures, more exchange compliance, and more failed monetization attempts even when systems are breached. Why this matters? Cyber attacks have become a structural feature of modern life because digital systems now sit underneath everything: payroll, logistics, healthcare, scheduling, energy distribution, and the trust layer of commerce. In the short term, the highest risk is not cinematic destruction. It is routine disruption, ransomware outages, supplier compromise, and impersonation fraud that drains real budgets. The issue matters because operational downtime compounds fast, missed shipments become penalties, delayed care becomes harm, and broken payroll becomes an HR crisis overnight. In the long term, the stakes are strategic. States will keep using cyber for espionage and crisis leverage because it is cost-effective and politically flexible. Criminals will keep scaling fraud and extortion because automation lowers the skill barrier and expands target pools. The main consequence is a shift in the cost of trust because verification is becoming more expensive than deception. That is why identity security, payment controls, and resilient operations are now board-level issues, not technical footnotes. Real-world impact. Extortion strikes a regional manufacturing firm. Production stops for 2 days. The ransom is not the biggest cost. The real bill is missed delivery windows, emergency contractor, fees, and the awkward call to customers, explaining why dates are suddenly uncertain. A finance team processes a supplier invoice change that looks routine. The email thread is real. The tone matches, and the logo is perfect. The money goes to the wrong account. Recovery turns into a race against banking cutoffs and cross-border transfers. A hospital network loses access to scheduling and imaging systems. Staff revert to paper. Care continues, but throughput collapses. The harm is not only clinical. It is backlog, staff burnout, and weeks of recovery work after systems return. A government agency uncovers a long-standing intrusion. The immediate damage is unclear, but the strategic damage is permanent. Operational plans, identities, and negotiation positions may be compromised in ways that only surface years later. The future of cyberattacks. The age of synthetic trust. The next phase is not more hacking in the old sense. It is synthetic trust at scale. Attackers are getting better at the parts humans are worst at: persuasion, impersonation, and volume. AI tools can generate convincing messages, fake voices, and realistic videos that bypass instinctive skepticism. Meanwhile, software supply chains remain a high-leverage point. Compromise one vendor, inherit thousands of downstream targets. Defenders will respond by hardening identity and reducing single points of failure, stronger authentication, better device security, faster patching, and segmented networks that prevent one breach from becoming total collapse. Regulation will push in the same direction through reporting and governance requirements. But compliance alone will not fix incentives if cash-out stays easy. The fork in the road is clear. Either systems evolve toward default verification, where identity and transactions are continuously checked, or deception becomes the cheaper path and trust keeps getting taxed. Watch for whether payment disruption, identity fraud friction, and incident transparency rise faster than the attacker's automation curve. Future historians may mark this period as the moment digital society learned that security is not a feature, it is the price of modern life. For more insight and less noise, subscribe and explore the full range at taylortailored.co.uk.